Welcome, folks. Welcome, one and all, to to what?
It's 9 o'clock Central.
It's 9 o'clock Central. It's 10 o'clock Eastern, and time for the Retro Podcast. So, welcome, folks. For those of you listening on the podcast, when I do get around to uploading,
Wait a
for
second.
those of you listening on the audio podcast, welcome. Every 10 o'clock at night on Javi's Woodshop YouTube channel, we have our live video, which you can join in on the chat room. And for those of you watching live, welcome Mitchell, good to see you.
Hey.
And welcome Joe. I believe that's Sturdy Hopkins Joe. I always forget. And we're already they're punching out the names for today's topic.
Oh boy, they are.
Yep. Welcome to guys in their 50s and 60s talking about the 70s and 80s. And this is the Retro Podcast, episode number 6. Today we're going to be talking about restaurants and their menus, long begotten restaurants and their menus. I mean, some we will be mentioning Burger King and McDonald's and those recent ones because they did exist in the 70s and 80s. But we'll be focusing on stuff that's from our youth, as we always do. So here we go. And let's see. First of all, let me welcome my partner in crime, Mr. Al Forte.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. And if you're watching, or if you're listening or watching, I guess you could be watching it on YouTube and listening it to on whatever podcast place we have it. Welcome to the show, and hope you enjoy it. Thank you for being here, everyone.
And we'll start off with. Let's start off with. I have to get this off my chest. It's because one of the reasons that this occurred to me is because something that always happens to me is have you ever had a food that you just remember so fondly and you go, oh, I wish they had that now. And I have two such foods in my life. One of them is a little known place. It only lasted for a year or two. It was a local pizza shop, and I was very fond of it. My family went. I don't know. I was It was before I was a teenager because it was before I was driving too. But my brother and I and my mom and dad go to church on Sunday, and then after church, there'd be a few blocks down from our local church. It'd be we go in the afternoons, and then it'd be evening by the time we get out, and it's and it was a place called Joe's Pizza, just Joe's Pizza, some generic Joe's Pizza, but they had probably the single most delicious thick. They didn't call it Sicilian, but it was almost Sicilian-like, and it was. I've never had a taste like that in my entire life, and it was absolutely wonderful. That was one of the two things that I remember from my youth. The other one, and I got to share this with you folks. McDonald's wasn't really big with me when I was young. It really wasn't. We had, remember, I grew up in Miami. Now, Miami, being that Burger King headquarters was here in Miami, we had probably twice, if not 3 times as many BKs as we did Mickey D's.
Yep.
So we had a lot more Burger Kings scattered throughout. Well, 1 mile away from my house, there was the local shopping center. There was like it was a busy corner, and it was one was a gas station. Well, there was a gas station on all 4 corners, but 3 of the corners had malls. I mean, strip malls, but big malls. And I talked about it before when we mentioned old stores and Zayres and stuff. But one of them was in the middle, the Burger King. And that was the only fast food place back then. Later, there was another one, Miami Subs. We'll get to that in a second. That's another defunct store. But Burger King had the most incredible sandwich that I ever had in my life. And I loved it. And it was called the Yumbo.
The Yumbo.
The Yumbo. See, do a little here. Let me pull up. Let me see if I can. Burger King Yumbo.
Yumbo.
See if
BK Yumbo, yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
December 2, in December 2nd of 2014, I have a thing here. Burger King brings back the Yumbo sandwich after 40 years.
It's a ham and cheese.
It's a ham and cheese. But here's the problem with that Yumbo that they brought back. I hope Burger King is listening. There's a major problem. You put the Yumbo, the new Yumbo that wasn't anything like the old Yumbo. You put the new Yumbo on a chicken sandwich bread. That's the long, thin bread.
Yeah.
The original Yumbo was on a Whopper bread. Sesame seed round bun.
Which is a big bun, yeah.
Which is big and round, but I mean, area-wise and volume, they're both about the same. I wouldn't have the chicken sandwich any other way except with the chicken sandwich bread. I do like the chicken sandwich from BK, but no. The Yumbo was on the round bread. There were no long, thin bread. They didn't have chicken sandwiches back then. They had Whoppers. They had fish sandwiches, which I hated fish, so I never ate them. And they had Yumbos. And Yumbos it was a hot ham and cheese sandwich. The closest taste that I could approximate to the Yumbo has got to be very close, but no, not the same, is an Arby's beef and cheddar.
How does the Denny's Moons Over My Hammy sound?
Denny's
compared to it.
Denny's
to me, that was my favorite.
Moons Over My Hammy was great, but Moons Over My Hammy was they had an egg in there, didn't it?
Yeah. No,
it was delicious, but
no egg. I don't think it had like a white cheese. It did have eggs. Yes, it
had
did
an
have
egg. Yeah,
egg. It had regular cheese.
Yeah.
American cheese, white cheese. I even have a secret recipe.
I'm more of a Superbird fan when it comes to Denny's.
Superbird.
Yeah. But in fact, it's funny you mentioned Denny's because I thought of Superbird, and that leads me to another one of my favorite all-time sandwiches. But it's more of a local restaurant down here. It's called the El Dorado is the name of the sandwich, and the restaurant is Swenson's. I don't know if you guys have Swenson's in your area.
Yes, we do. We do have Swenson's.
We still have one Swenson's here in Miami. It is, well, let's put it this way: the vinyl, the ripped vinyl chairs, and the food stained carpet holds the ambiance for the past 40 or 50 years.
Yes.
So
everything that's been dropped on the floor.
It's popular because of the food, not because of the ambiance. But it's nice though. But I gotta tell you, it's delicious. And for a while, I went there. I don't live close to it, so it's not like I go there often. But I went there recently within last year, and with my wife, and it was the saddest thing. The El Dorado, my favorite burger, it wasn't there anymore.
It wasn't there, yeah.
However, they changed the name. It was the same thing, but they changed the name. I forgot what the new name was, but here's the El Dorado. The El Dorado is now. One thing I just got to say this one thing that I don't like about Swenson's, or in fact any restaurant, is when they stick one of those quarter-long pickles in with the fries.
Here, have a pickle with the fries.
I cannot stand that. I hate pickle juice. I hate pickles, and I don't like any type of vinegar. That's why I don't like mustard or ketchup. But I cannot stand the taste of pickle juice anywhere near my sandwich or my fries. I get so upset with that. But I digress, as I often do. So here we go. The El Dorado is it's sourdough bread, toasted sourdough bread. It's a sandwich made with turkey, tomatoes. I'm not a fan of the tomatoes, so I order it without it, but it's good. So turkey, cheese, bacon. Was there bacon in it?
Good combo.
Yeah, turkey, cheese, and yes, turkey, cheese, bacon on on sourdough bread sandwich. But this is the topper: Parmesan cheese grilled, Parmesan cheese encrusted sourdough bread. So you imagine if you had just slather some butter on the outside, stick Parmesan on it, grill the thing, and a hot turkey and bacon and cheese sandwich. Absolutely delicious.
Yeah,
the best part about it was they have got the Parmesan just right, where part of it crumbles on the plate, and they have these big home fries. So you eat a piece of the home fry, and then you actually pick up the crumbles of the Parmesan cheese with the fries. And
I
my
love
mouth is watering just thinking about it.
sourdough bread. Well, see, I'm hungry right now.
There you go. There you go. And you're not the only one. I'm gonna be. Yeah, I'll be eating after this. Let me tell you, I'm sorry for you guys. If you had dinner already and I'm making you guys hungry, but we will be talking about restaurants pretty much the rest of the show. So Howard Johnson's Hojo's.
Ooh, Hojo's. I can't remember many of the things that we ate there.
Yeah, neither can I. Most of the time it was ice cream.
But I remember stopping at roadside.
Always remember stopping roadside and say, hey, there's a Howard Johnson's. Let's go into Hojo's.
Yeah, up and down the turnpike. The trips that we made from Chicago to New York, there was always Howard Johnson's nearby.
Yep.
In fact, when Dad passed away, we went, I think it was down in Miami. It might have been a little bit more north, but that's where we had our dinner before the family went off back to their, after the funeral, which I guess it's just a thing I'll always remember.
Here's one for you, and this one may bring up some issues. But I'll give you the history of it. Because this was once a very popular restaurant, and they had one in, of all places, Coral Gables, one of the ritziest places in Miami. They had there at the end, it's now a Denny's, but back then it was a Sambo's.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's a shame because Sam Battistone and Newell Bonnet named it Sambo's. They named it after themselves. It's Sam and Bo. That was their nicknames. And unfortunately, they ignored the fact that the combination also alluded to a racially insensitive epithet, and picture book character. Now, frankly, I'll be honest with you. I was completely out of touch with that reference. Because it wasn't very popular in TV land, in the shows that I used to watch. And so I don't even know, other than somebody telling me, oh, that's a racial comment.
The irony is they had a tiger and a little boy on like Johnny Quest, with a turban on, a little boy sitting there, unless before it had some other
and I remember eating there quite a number of times. It was delicious. There were over 1,100 locations in the early 80s, but like anything else, bad finances, and they filed for bankruptcy and stuff. But there are a few of them. There's another one. Chi-Chi's is another one. I don't know if you had a Chi-Chi's. We didn't have, we had one here in Miami, and it wasn't very popular. So it wasn't Miamians, it's all Cuban food, but when it comes to Mexican, not much. In fact, Taco Bell, which is very popular now.
Don't tell me they got rice and black beans at Taco Bell.
Well, actually they do, but
oh my goodness.
But Taco Bell was not popular here until recently, until like the 90s. In the 70s and 80s, we had a place called Taco Viva.
Viva or Villa?
Viva.
Viva.
Taco Viva.
Really?
Yeah. There was a whole chain of Taco Vivas. Now, for quite a while, for a good 10 years, Taco Vivas, and this is at the time, I don't know if you guys can remember when the food courts started cropping up in the malls.
Yes.
You remember, I mean, folks, you guys are old as I am. That if you're listening to this and you're as old as I am, or a little younger, a little older, you've lived a time where there were no food courts in the mall. Nothing. There was shops. And if you wanted to go someplace, you'd go to, there might have been a restaurant in the mall. Like in Dadeland, there was a 2-story Burger King where I would eat my Yumbo. But Dadeland, which is a huge mall now with 2 food courts. Back then, no, not so much.
We had
food courts.
We had
What's that?
Lubies. We had Lubies. Lubies. Like Lubiy. I'm sorry. We had Lubies in our restaurant. I mean, in our malls.
How about this one? This one died recently, and we used to meet for business dinners during the 80s in the local Steak and Ale.
Yeah.
And Steak and Ales. We used to have a bunch of Steak and Ales. Oh, here's another one. I'm trying to remember the name. Let me see if I can remember the name. They had the most delicious salads. Oh, what was it?
Wendy's?
No. No, it was a place like Steak and Ales. I don't want to say Piccadilly's. It wasn't Piccadilly's. It was, it'll come to me. It was on Bird Road, just off the expressway. I wish some of my Miami friends were listening.
I can't remember.
How about, did you, how about, do you still have Boston markets in your area?
I have eaten one within the last 2-3 years.
Okay.
But not in
I don't know, because I haven't seen them recently, so I don't know if they're gone or not. But I know what is gone, or rather, I don't know. It's gone from this area anyways. Kenny Rogers Roasters. Now that, I got to be, well, that's an exception to this podcast because that one actually came out in the 90s. But Kenny Rogers, you remember Kenny Rogers Chicken?
No, I remember Kenny Rogers songs.
Well, yeah, but in the 90s, he had about 400 locations of Kenny Rogers Roasters.
Really? Yeah. Never heard that
In
one.
fact, one of the Seinfeld episodes, I think it was, wasn't it a flashing Kenny Rogers sign or something? I don't know. How about Minnie Pearl's Chicken? Did you ever have one of those?
Never.
They had 500 locations. And here's one that I will always remember fondly, and another one of my absolute favorite meals is the beer battered hot dog from Lum's.
When you said beer battered, I thought beer battered fish.
No. Well, that's Arthur Treacher's.
Yeah, bingo. That was my
And there's another one that's delicious is Arthur Treacher's. And I'll tell you what,
there's only 5 of them left in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, here's the funny part. Here's the funny part about Arthur Treacher's, about that fish. See, a lot of you guys out there, you love fish. And
yum.
my wife and I, and both my daughters, cannot stand fish.
Really?
None of us.
Being in Florida, too.
You will never catch us eating fish. Now, okay, my wife,
7. There's 7.
What's that? Oh, there's 7. Oh, all right. Is there one in Florida City, or is that along John Silver's? What?
No, four in Ohio, 2 in New York, and 2 in Jersey City. In New Jersey.
Well, in that case, I got to go drop by Ohio.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to New York or New Jersey.
You'll get
no offense to them. It's just, it's too busy.
More chances of getting to one.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Arthur Treacher's or Long, I equate them to Long John Silver's because it's almost the same style.
When Long John Silver's came in, Arthur Treacher's kind of faded out.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you this.
Yeah.
I am, like I said, I do not like fish. However,
Hmm?
I love Long John Silver's /
Really?
Arthur Treacher's fish. Yes.
That was Dad's favorite.
It for me, it's a, and my dad jokes around with me. He goes, because he's a fishionado.
Aficionado.
He's a fishionado.
We've got a new coined word here, folks. It's
Yep.
aficionado.
It's a fishionado. Aficionado? Yeah, it's a fishionado. Anyway, he is he loves, he's a pescatarian. Well, he's not a pescatarian. He eats everything, but he loves fish. He'll eat that over anything. So's my brother. Me, if you get me anywhere near the smell of salmon, I'm headed in the other direction.
Oh man, I love salmon.
Can't say too fishy. But that's the beautiful thing about cod, which is basically what's in Arthur Treacher's, and it doesn't taste fishy. It tastes especially when you do the beer batter, when you have most of the batter on it and stuff. But it's absolutely delicious, and the hush puppies are pretty good too. But how about Valley's Steakhouse? You have any of those in there?
Never heard of it. Never heard of Valley's. There was mention though of the Ollie Burger. We're going back to Lums.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
What that had in it.
Those. I mean, for me, Lums was a place where when I was 14 years old, I was in a group of I got into a young adults group early. It wasn't a young adults group. It was a young adults group. It was they ages from 16 to 24, and I was allowed in early because I had a lot of friends there of that age. So
that is young adults.
What's that?
At our age, those are young adults. I mean,
okay. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, so we would meet there after our meeting. We'd go there and we'd be talking. See, those are my best times. I don't know, guys, if you've ever been to either a choir or a young adult meeting or a meeting of any sort with a bunch of people, and then after the meeting, you went to a particular restaurant like Dalt's or Miller Ale House. Dalt's was the place. Dalt's is another one, but I don't think anybody has any of those. That's a local, but it was like now it turned into a sports grill, but that type of restaurant, or like in this case, Lums. For me, it was in my formative years, in my younger years, it was Lums. And then later in my choir years, from the age of 18 to about 33, it was Dalt's or Miller Ale. They changed the name later. I spent a good 15, 20 years of my life going to a weekly meeting with a lot of close friends, who became close friends because of these meetings. And we would continue our conversation or our choir rehearsal. After the choir rehearsal, we'd spend 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just,
it was
that was our hangouts.
It was part of the fellowship. It
was part of the fellowship.
I
never thought about it until now, how important those restaurants were for me and how much of a part of my life they are, part of my youth they were. It's going to those restaurants weekly was fantastic, and then later, here's the funny part. I always equated my business meetings. I belong to, for those of you who don't know, I used to belong to a group called BNI, Business Network International, and a lot of other groups of that sort, where a bunch of business owners get together, have a structured meeting, and then after the structured meeting, we just meet and we talk, and we get to know each other. We build trust between us, and a lot of business is developed from that. And not only that, a lot of referrals, because when people know what you do and you've got 40 or 50 people and they're all business owners and they have their whole group of clients, when a client says, hey, I need a painter, or I need this, or I need that, hey, I got a guy, and that was my nickname for a lot of years is I got a guy, because somebody would say, "Do you know of this?" And I was their go-to guy for a while because they knew I was in, because I would talk about it all the time. And so if anybody ever needed somebody to refer to, and likewise vice versa, I got referred to a lot. And
I got a guy.
these meetings, these meetings and these locations, I always thought that I always saw the business networking world that I was a part of was nothing more than the adult version of the young adults meetings and the choir groups and stuff, because the format was the same. We'd either go to a young adult meeting, do our talks, sometimes pray, and then go to our restaurant and gab. We'd go to our high school meetings and in our clubs, and then we'd do our official club stuff, and then we'd go to a meeting. We'd go to a choir group meeting. We'd learn the songs, we'd practice, and then we'd go to our for an hour or two. It is the way a restaurant should be, which is you relax, you have a conversation, you take your time. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Spain out there, but in Spain, there is a whole different, and in many other countries, there's a whole different philosophy in a restaurant. In Spain, you go there, the waiter will immediately attend you, give you a drink, and you can be drinking. They will not take your order. I mean, you actually have to beat them to take your order. And then when they take your order, they'll deliver to you immediately. And you're expected to sit there for an hour or two just talking. It's not like here where the second you finish your meal, they hit you with the check. Have a nice day. And is there anything else I can do for you? Is there anything else I mean, they'll be bugging you with that question until you're out the door. Not the same over there. And well, I'll tell you, I mean, so anyway, those were a big part of my life, Wags. Did I mention Wags restaurants?
No.
That's the drugstore Walgreens back in the 70s opened up Wags family restaurants.
Not sure why I don't remember those as much.
They modeled them after Denny's and Big Boys.
Remember Wags?
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't catch on. But I mean, I've eaten there a few times. Those are some good restaurants. And then, speaking of Bob's Big Boy, I don't know if I was telling you before the show. I think California, they might still have them. I don't know. Did they go out? They finally go out of? Because I know they opened it according to our records, in 36 in Burbank.
Yeah, the company had hundreds of locations through the 70s and 80s, but under various different names too. They kind of changed around. Then, of course, like everything, it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. I don't know if you guys remember this, but in the movie one of the Austin Powers movies, at the end, Professor or Dr. Evil gets in this ship and blasts off, and what's blasting off is the Bob's, the Big Boy.
Yes, the Big Boy donut, is it? Or
well, it's a hamburger. He's holding a hamburger.
That's right. The donut is the other one. The donut.
I don't know if it's still around. It's like a failed chain from the 80s.
Right.
I mean, and failed is, what does failed mean? I mean,
really. Now, if Mark's around, no, Mark actually never lived in Oregon in the 60s, but VIPs is a restaurant in the back then. Red Barn. How about Red Barn? You remember Red Barn? Never had any of those. I'm reading some of these that I see here. Pup and Taco. I haven't. Definitely Arthur Treacher's is one that I did see a Happy Chef. somewhere in Florida once, but you know. Now, how about do you still have? Yeah, obviously Dairy Queen's expanded because
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
there's a good one to talk about because we had in Miami we had a location, we had Dairy Queens that were only for ice cream. That was it. It was ice cream, and it was they served it through a window. It was an outdoor sit down restaurant, kind of like Checkers is now. It was it was an outdoor sit down restaurant. They'd have seats outside, and you could have shakes and you can have ice cream and that's it. Then it's amazing how it changed throughout the years because then I remember the Blizzard, and then all of a sudden Dairy Queen stores started opening up in strip malls, and they have tables inside, and you know, and then now,
see,
I don't know about you, but there's half a dozen up in the Central Florida area. There's Dairy Queen Grill.
No, we don't have one of those. In West Texas, we have Dairy Queens like at every single little town. Everything's away from each other and stuff. There's all these little towns, but every single little town has got a Dairy Queen. And, hamburgers and shakes and ice cream and all that good stuff. But
that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, because Dairy Queen is really, I mean, it really changed, at least around here. Because, I mean, it went from a little outdoor grill to practically, I think there was only 2 left in Miami after a while. It just almost died. And that's about when Carvel came in, and then, because Carvel with, how about this? Was it Chippy the Whale? What was the whale? What was the name of the whale?
For what? The whale for what?
Carvel.
For Carvel. See, I don't remember. I remember Carvel, but it seemed to me like it was a little bit higher price than I had the money for at the time.
Gotcha.
Or maybe we moved out of the area where they were in, and
because Fudgy the Whale, that was the name of it. It was Fudgy the Whale. Hang on, let me look at the comments because I haven't been keeping an eye on them. Have
Carvel, Whaley the Whale?
No, it's
Carvel Fudgy the Whale.
Fudgy the Whale. Fudgy the Whale.
Whaley the Whale.
There you go. It was Fudgy. It was Fudgy the Whale. That was during the 80s and stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Carvel signature cake. Yes.
Yep. And that was oh my God, those were fantastic. Then they had the Cookie Opus, which was. They had a bunch of. They had these 2 chocolate chip cookie. I mean, these Oreo cookies, but they were offset, so it looked like the black of the Oreo cookie was looking, to the side, and the nose was an ice cream cone. And then the rest of it was just all decorated. Oh man, those are some good stuff. Yeah,
I'm still looking at Carvel's pictures, and I'm like going, ice cream.
Oh yeah. I still to this day. I mentioned this before, but for my birthday, I either have the last one I had was delicious. It was a Cinnabon, cinnamon Cheesecake Factory cheesecake from Publix. I mean, what is it? Cinnamon? Is it cinnamon? Is it Cheesecake Factory? Is it Publix? It's all of them, and it was delicious. It was absolutely delicious. But my favorite is a macadamia nut from Cheesecake Factory. But that aside, Carvel for years, every year and every birthday, I would order. Hey, what do you want? I want an ice cream cake because I didn't want a regular butter cake. I wanted an ice cream cake. And my family is the funniest thing because my daughters, one likes vanilla, one likes chocolate. My wife likes chocolate. I like vanilla. What do? We split the chocolate and we have each a slice. She takes all the chocolate. I take all the vanilla. We're done. And it works out. It kind of works out good because both of us can do without the frosting. We don't really. The frosting's okay, but it's not like whipped cream or anything. It's basically pure sugar, and it's really a little bit's okay. But when you get to the side of the cake, oh god, way too much, you know. But anyways, but yeah, Carvel was pretty much did in Dairy Queen for a while. Then all of a sudden, Dairy Queen just popped up everywhere. I blinked, and now they're everywhere. And now they have Dairy Queen grills. They have the most delicious burgers and other stuff at Dairy Queen, and you can get a Blizzard at the same time.
Blizzard's the great part. Oh my god,
Blizzard's
awesome. They always take and I can't do this, but they always take the
ice cream turning upside down.
Turn it upside down. Yeah. And
it's so funny because here's a funny my last experience at the Blizzard I actually went through a grill and I wasn't hungry, but I wanted dessert and I wanted a Blizzard, so I ordered a Blizzard. I went in. It's always my favorite, the Heath Blizzard.
Oh yeah, the Heath, exactly. And toffee.
And I went through there. I got the Heath Blizzard, and it has been a long time since I had gone to Dairy Queen, so I was a little. I didn't expect it because when I was there regularly, you expect them. They mix it, they stick the spoon in, and they turn it upside down and hand it to you that way, or practically they show it to you first, then they flip it upside up. Well, here's the thing. I didn't expect it. So
did you reach out for it?
No. It was the drive-through window. She turned it upside down, and I looked at her, and I didn't know what to say because I didn't expect it. It caught me off guard, and so I go, nice, thank you. So it's like, thank you.
Thank you some more, yes. Oh my gosh.
It was like, or excellent. You know, what do I say? It's like, that's it. You know.
Good job. Good trick.
There you go. Mitchell pulled out a good one, which I love this one. Farrell's ice cream. Talking about ice cream. I had my 10-year-old birthday party at Farrell's. And the reason I had it at Farrell's was an old-timey type restaurant. If you've ever been to the corner, the Coca-Cola refreshment corner in Disney World, or pretty much Johnny Rockets, any one of those Johnny Rockets, you know, those old type diners. Well, imagine, if you will,
an ice cream parlor.
Combine an ice cream parlor / old time diner / barbershop quartet. And they had singers doing barbershop throughout Farrell's. And they would sell kazoos. They would sell toys and stuff. You know, I had my 10-year-old birthday party there with a bunch of friends, and it was in Hialeah. Not very often do I go to Hialeah. Try to avoid it like the plague. I know you lived there for a while, and I'm glad you got out. Yeah. I'm glad you made it out.
There is a restaurant I want to talk about, but go ahead, keep going.
And then, if it begins with OJ, I know which one you're talking about, but I'll get to that in a second.
No, it begins with L.
Oh, okay. Well, that Farrell's, I'll never forget it. They sang this old-timey happy birthday in a 4-part harmony, and I loved it. I thrived on it. And I did it because a friend of mine invited me to a birthday party there. My best friend at the time, Steven Solomon, recommended it to me. And he says, you got to have it here. And then I told my mom, and we had it there, and it was fantastic. And I'll get to my OJ in a second. What's your L?
There was a restaurant, and I think it's in several places, but it might still be there, it might not. But since you don't go to Hialeah, I don't know if you would know this, but there was a place called Lilacs.
You mean Leela's?
Leela's, yeah, Lilacs.
Yeah. Oh man, no, they're all gone. They're all gone.
Leela's had my favorite meal at Leela's was a
Bistec empanizado?
No, not the empanizado, just a
Not the
bistec frito, which is a fried steak, a fried thin
bistec. Yeah, beef steak.
It's like a skirt steak, but a really tender skirt steak.
Yeah, down here, folks, by the way, for all of you listening out there in the rest of the world, down here in the Cuban world of Miami, everywhere you order a bistec, which bistec is a Spanish butchering of the word beef steak.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's spelled B-I-S-T-E-K or B-I-S-T-E-C, bistec. And that is basically, it's a very thin skirt steak. It's a beef steak. Imagine, if you will, like there's a Philly steak, you know, but it's very tender, it's delicious, and it's served with, I mean, it's
shoestring potatoes and onions and little garlic on top of it.
Either shoestring potatoes, like the crispy kind that you get of a can, or they have really, I mean, they slice shoestring potatoes and cook them right there. And when I'm talking, if you think you get fed,
oh my gosh,
with there's Elena Rus, there's Dan Butcyrus from Illinois, used to live in Miami, and he knows Elena Rus sandwich, which is just, well, it's another classic Cuban sandwich. But so this beef steak, this steak is, first of all, if you go to any, now there's a chain of them down here, Latin American restaurant. If you go to any Latin American restaurant, you will get, and you order a bistec or a bistec empanizado, which is a breaded steak, steak for the breaded steak, you will get a steak, and I'm not kidding. First of all, imagine, if you will, a large plate. I guess what, 9x12 would be about
kind of
about a 9x12 plate.
Yeah.
Imagine, if you will, you cannot see the dish, because the steak sticks out both of the long ends.
Yes, exactly.
I am not kidding. These steaks that they serve you, first of all, they will serve you I mean, you're going to pay maybe $12,
but it's,
which is an average price for a restaurant, or $9.
$12 for hamburgers and fries sometimes, you know?
I just paid $6 for only a burger, and I didn't include fries or a drink. This thing, you get a whole meal, you get your $9. And it's, but this is a restaurant. You try ordering a meal in a restaurant for less than 20.
Right.
You get a steak bigger than a plate that two people can feed off of, and a mountain. And I'm talking a mountain of potatoes. I'm a big guy. I'll eat 3/4 of those potatoes, not even get to the steak, and I'll be full. Everybody leaves half the potatoes. So anyway.
We're making Batman or Michael.
I'm making everybody hungry, but I'm telling my mouth is watering from all this food talk, but it's delicious. But getting back to, so Lila's it's local, but there were 4 Lila's down here.
Yes.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, the La Carreta, which is basically Spanish for an old-fashioned chariot or cart, horse cart. Wagon wheel cart. Yeah, you know. A wagon wheel, basically. An old-fashioned wagon cart pull cart, single cart. Anyway,
the carreta is kind of like a horse-drawn.
A horse-drawn. What are they called? When you go? Oh my God! When the horses and you pay cowboys and Indians, and you have the. What is that wagon cart called? There's a word for it. My God, my mind went blank. You know, where the cookie got.
It's a cart. It's a cart. I mean,
it's called something else.
That's the
wagon wheel. No, not wagon wheel. It's a wagon. It's a wagon.
It's a 2-wheeled cart.
It's a wagon. Old timey wagon. It's a horse wagon, horse-drawn wagon. Covered wagon. That's it. I was trying to remember what the
covered wagon.
But a
carreta.
My mind went blank. Well, basically, carreta means covered wagon, if you will. And it's the cook wagon. It's the same old West wagon that you guys think of. Well, Cuba, they had them too. So back in the days of the old West,
our beans were black beans.
Yeah. Their beans were. I say there because I'm not a Cuban.
Oh, I was.
but anyway, Coretta basically. I even say it like an American. The Coretta, not la carreta, but the Coretta. Basically, they were popular. Lila's, for whatever reason, their stores eventually closed down. I had one. Remember that? Remember those malls that I was talking about a mile away from my house where I grew up? There was one in that mall, Lila's, and I loved it. I loved it. And it was called Lila's for a while, and then it was bought out by Versailles, which Versailles, they still have Versailles around. They got 4 of them here in Miami, but they have a lot more Correttas. Well, anyway, Cuban restaurants, and they all serve you that big monstrous steak on that big plate with a mound of fries, and there's nothing like it. So back to my OJ, because you made me think of it with Westland Mall. There was this wonderful place called Orange Julius.
Oh yes,
you remember the Orange Julius? I used to love the pizza at Orange Julius, and of course the orange creams.
I don't know if it's still there. In the Midland Park Mall, there used to be an Orange Julius. And the only thing I would go there for was the orange.
You mean Westland Mall?
No, Midland Park Mall.
I don't know
Midland's to the east of us. It's the Midland Odessa area. It's like the Petroplex is what they call it. It's our sister city. We're kind of growing closer together every day, in fact, if we haven't already. But in the Midland Park Mall, for those that know Texas, Billy Buck would be one. Maybe I shouldn't mention names that would know what I'm talking about. But man, I loved.
Let me stop and say hello to a few of our guests. Well, Zoom, Dan, a buddy of mine that used to live here, and he's in Illinois. Best Dairy Queen was in Homestead until it got blown away by Hurricane Andrew. I remember that one. That one all too well. Let's see. Chris, welcome, Chris, from Niantic River Woodcrafting is Brigham's. I don't know Brigham's.
Chris Nealon,
Brigham's. What's Brigham's? Never heard of that one. Finley Thin is another one I haven't heard of. Or Thinny Thin. Whatever. Thinny Thin. That's the autocorrect. Hooters. Now, Hooters, is this still around or not?
We've got one down here. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so Hooters is still around. Yeah, I haven't been there. I haven't been there ever since I got married, and I didn't go before that much either. I mean,
they've got good. I'm not going to say great because I've had better, but they've got good buffalo wings. And when I go there, instead of getting the buffalo wings, and this is on their menu that has the Louisiana hot sauce on it, I get the lemon pepper wings, which is delicious. And talk about their menu. Their menu also has crab legs, a la the wings. Delicious.
Brigham's was an ice cream restaurant and stuff. And welcome back, Michael. Building my Necrons. Interesting.
Michael does minis and does paintings. Kind of. This isn't one of the ones.
That he does. Sweet.
Kind of something like that. I
might be calling Michael up then because I got.
But more along the lines of
in fact, I might connect him to. I don't know if he's interested or not, but my daughter and her boyfriend both play D&D. And
exactly.
And at least back in the day when I played, I had a good collection of wizards, and oh man, I was so good with. Well, that's probably why I'm a painter now. I was so good with the paintbrush, with the little wizards, mostly purple and gold. I mean, I don't know what it is about wizards. They all got to be purple and gold for me.
But, right? They do with the purple hat. Got to have a purple hat.
Yeah. Yep. Well, anyway, moving on to let's see here.
Warhammer. Michael plays Warhammer.
Warhammer. Okay, cool. So yeah, Orange Julius was a big one. And so like I'd mentioned before, those Taco Vivas. That's another one that down here, there was a whole chain of Taco Vivas, and they're all gone. Half of them were bought out by Taco Bell. Half of them just fizzled away because of Taco Bell. That was when Taco Bell's been around for ages in California and moving eastward. It hadn't gotten down here. Taco Viva was implanted here, and then all gone.
Taco Viva also had well, maybe not. This says Taco Viva Pizzeria. Maybe this is not it, but they got shrimp, camarones.
No, they basically had tacos, and that's it. Tacos, and tacos. That's it. It was basically the same as Taco Bell.
This is on the Tamiami Trail, though.
But
corner Sanibel Boulevard.
Never heard of it.
Yeah,
Sanibel is
Sanibel.
The Tamiami Trail in Sanibel is 2 hours up, 2 hours west. That's on the west coast.
Yeah,
I live on the east coast. Well, I live 13 miles from the east coast, so nowhere near it, but still.
Them Westerners.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, those Westerners. That's Sanibel Island, that area. All right, so let's see what other ones do we have here in our wonderful list, because I just can't stop thinking of Lums. I really can't. And Burger Chef. I don't know of Burger Chef. I mean, Burger Chef. They're
heard of
Doggy Diner, another one that I don't know of. How about IHOP? Is IHOP still around, or are they finally?
IHOP is a staple for when we travel. Also, we stay at the International House of Pancakes.
Somebody was telling me that IHOPs were closing.
Well, I don't know. It could be.
I hope not, because there's nothing like the rootin' tootin' fresh and fruity breakfast.
Right. No, really good breakfasts.
Okay, so since
ours is still open.
Since we're on the subject of not only of the 70's and 80's, okay.
Hold on.
Let's talk Burger King again.
I wanted to talk breakfast.
What's that? Oh, breakfast. Talk breakfast.
Something because you've already mentioned Burger King, but I want to, since you're talking about IHOP, how about Pancake Houses?
The Pancake House.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
But they're still around too, aren't they?
They're still around, but not that many. Not the Pancake. Yeah, the Pancake House isn't around that much. How about this? Okay, so since we'll transition from breakfast to Burger King in the following way. How many of you guys are so young that you do not remember when McDonald's and Burger King did not have breakfast? Because I remember when Burger King's opened up at 10 a.m. They didn't serve breakfast. Neither did McDonald's. They didn't serve big breakfast. McDonald's didn't have big breakfast. Didn't have sausage. Anything. Didn't have croissant sandwiches. Remember when croissant sandwiches first came out? Do you remember when hash browns first came out?
Yes.
Do you remember more recently when the what's those sweet pancakes called? I order them all the time. It's my favorite meal. It's a number 6 or a number 7. The sausage and egg. Oh my God! It's what's the sweet one with the M on it, with the M engraved on it? What's that stupid pancake sandwich called? My mind just went blank.
McGriddle.
Thank you. Yes, there was a time very recently when there was no McGriddle. There was a time before that where there were no croissant sandwiches. And Chris had a McDonald's that was drive-through only, no inside seating.
And I asked because of COVID, because that's kind of a sign of the times.
I tried a Burger King once, hated it. Now Burger King, like I said, Burger King in Miami was it. And Wendy's, because Wendy's came out in Tampa, so there were enough of them. There were probably as many Wendy's in Miami as there were McDonald's. Very few, but there were tons of Burger Kings. And go on.
I'm sorry. How about White Castle, guys?
Oh, I was going to mention that. I just forgot because I just came across it.
I beat
White
you to
Castle. Yep, absolutely. White Castle, because the Royal Castle they still have here, but they're not the same. You cannot get White Castle slide. I think there's still one White Castle left.
Aren't they competitors? Royal Castle and White Castle?
They were competitors, and there either is one Royal Castle left or one White Castle, but anyway, and down here, anybody also, speaking of long-term restaurants, I'll talk about restaurants. I'll talk about a couple now before I move on to Burger King and their toys. I will talk about last thing I want to mention, because we got like 5 minutes left. Last thing I want to mention is there are two iconic stores, at least in Miami. I'm sure you guys all have them in your neck of the woods. There are two iconic restaurants in Miami who are still around today. And it's one of those restaurants that it's not a chain. It's a single restaurant. Well, one of these was two restaurants, but they closed the second one down. One of them is Arbetters. And Arbetters has been around for close to 50 years or over 50 years.
I've never heard of Arbetters.
Arbetters is a local restaurant on Bird and 87th Avenue, and they sell Oscar Mayer hot dogs. They've been cooking for the longest time. They're absolutely delicious. They have it very, very simple: cheese dog, onion, chili and onion, chili and cheese, whatever, any combination. Pickles, onions, sauerkraut, ketchup, mustard. You order it the way you want it. It's a cash business. Have a nice day, in and out. I get 2 cheese fry, and a Diet Coke. That's my order. Always has been for 40 years. And whenever I swing by there and I'm driving and I'm hungry, I stop in. It's fast. It'll cost me $10. Yeah. About the same amount as a huge steak at Lila's, but oh man, those hot dogs and fries will fill me up, and they'll be delicious. And the second one I want to mention is, for those of you, and Dan already is salivating there. The other one is, for anyone who lives in Miami, they know of Frankie's Pizza. Frankie's Pizza. There's one location. It's on Bird Road, and it's fantastic. I once actually did a sign for the sign. The daughter, Roxanne, Frankie's daughter, who was, or is it Frankie's niece? Well, anyway, she was, I think it was in the 1960s or 70s. She was Miss Florida. Well, anyways, she still works there. She still owns it, and they make the pizza the same exact way for over 50 years. And I love that pizza, and I'm probably going to swing by and pick one up on my way back from Orlando. I love that pizza. I love that pizza. They always throw in an extra slice on top of the box. They'll give you what they do. They do this fancy. They drop up their square slices, mozzarella cheese melted just perfect. They're delicious. There's nothing like it. And then at the end, they take the spatula, whack a hole in the box for the heat to escape. Who knows? Because it really is hot. And they drop a slice with a piece of parchment paper right on top of it. Here you go. Can't beat Frankie's Pizza, Dan says. He has a fridge magnet. Remember the old commercials? I do not, Dan. You've got the age drop on me there.
So, but can I ask a question? And it's
ask it away.
Maybe not necessarily. I'm trying to get but a little bit of trivia, and I'm gonna swing it along with Orange Julius.
Okay,
and you're in Florida. Okay. Mm-hmm. What was the celebrity that used to be the spokesman for Florida orange growers? And I'm talking about orange juice, orange. Do you guys remember that? Who was the person that said, and I guess the theme was, a day without orange juice is like a day without sunshine. Do you guys remember that? Well, I tell you what, when I have him doing that face, that was like,
You mean Anita Bryant?
Ding, 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 ding. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Now the big smile on his face. Yeah.
Anita Bryant. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, you remember those. You remember those names.
Yes.
It's like, who was the one? Okay, the Cross Your Heart bra lady.
Yes. Jane Mansfield, I think.
Jane. No. I thought it might have been Jane Bryant or Jane. Maybe that's why I remember Bryant. But Jane. It wasn't Jane Mansfield. It was.
She was a full-figured girl.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me Google that one.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that would, if I don't remember, if I don't know it, I'll say I don't know it, or I don't know it. But let me Google that. Let's see.
Jane Russell.
Russell. That's it. Jane Russell.
Jane Russell.
That's one of those names that, well, I didn't remember, but one of those names you normally remember. Anita Bryant was another one. It's like, holy cow, her name, Anita Bryant, the commercial,
For years.
In ages.
Yes.
One last thing before we go, because I didn't want to leave without Burger King. Now, okay, maybe you guys are more of the McDonald's side, so we'll talk about McDonald's. But
who likes Burger King?
But no. I eat McDonald's more than ever. I don't eat Burger King, but I eat Burger King now. For every 25 times I go to McDonald's, I go once to Burger King. Before it was the opposite.
No stock in Burger King? You sure?
No, not at all. Not at all. So BK, back when Burger King in the 70's, there was a very short cartoon Burger King. And then in the 70s, 80's, he became the tall guy with the red hair.
Yes. Yeah, to compete against whom? Yes.
I still have a Burger King eraser. They used to sell those it was a little likeness of that Burger King guy, and it was a Burger King eraser. Speaking of,
oh wait, wrong show.
And there's that's the wrong show. We've done that already. And the other one that I don't have it, but the other one that I'm thinking of is, to close off, McDonald's. How many of you guys remember? Oh, first of all, I gotta sing the song because I gotta sing in every episode at least once something. 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. We all remember that, or I don't know if you remember it, but I remember it stuff.
Remember the Hamburglar?
And I was about to get to that, but I gotta finish off. I gotta finish with hold the pickle, hold the lettuce, special order, don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way, have it your way. Okay, so
okay.
So those are the things that we remember. Now we move into the Hamburglar.
Yep.
Grimace, Mayor McCheese.
Mayor McCheese, yes.
I mean, come on. The fries.
Yes.
All those commercials. How many times did we hear Ronald McDonald in McDonald Land with all those commercials? How many times as kids did we want to go to McDonald Land?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they do away with the Hamburglar because it was not a good example for kids?
I don't know,
because I remember something like that.
If they did, it would have been in the 90s, and I call that my blank out period. The 90s. The 90s is a time. It's funny because for me, I have been in touch. The 90s for me is the out of touch era. For me, the 60s. I knew because all my friends were old like you. All my friends were a little older and grew up in the 60s. The 70s were my 60s. The 70s, I grew up in the 70s. I was from age of 5 to 15. That was the most influential time for me. The 80s, I was in high school, early 80s. And then late 80s, I was in college. So I was really paying attention to shows in the 80s back then. Once you get to the 90s, now, that's post-college. I was either working or I was hanging out with friends, and I was out all the time, never turned on a set, never turned on the news, didn't care about politics, didn't care about the news, didn't care about anybody except hanging out with my friends and my friends. And that's it. Those were the 90s for me. I was a completely out of touch, other than the occasional song on the radio because, we were in the car. Those were out of touch years. Then all of a sudden, the 2000s, I'm married. I have kids. I'm watching TV all the time, and now I'm watching all my kids' shows. So now from the 2000 and up, which my kids from the age of 0 to 20, 0 to they're 17 and 19 now, but I know about Elmo now. Before I knew about Sesame Street and the Snuffleupagus and all those. Now I know about back when I left Sesame Street. Back when I left Sesame Street, Snuffleupagus was still imaginary.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I find out in the 2000s. Wait a second! Everybody knows Snuffleupagus. He's around, and there's this annoying Elmo character. Anyway,
that they capitalized on.
Things change, but the bottom line is, in our youth, going back to this, in our youth, those commercials were a great part of our youth, and it's a shame. I mean, I understand racial sensitivity and certain things. You know, it's a shame that things like Tom and Jerry are shunned because of their violence. When we grew up with it, and you know, it wasn't really, you know, harmful to us. It's a shame that Sambo's is, well, they got lost because of financial reasons, but it's a shame that that so much outcry for stuff like that, because frankly, as a Hispanic white guy who treats everybody with the same amount of respect and disrespect, I will tell you right now, I had no clue as to the offense. In fact, when people say spick, I don't take offense to it, because I really don't take offense to you know, I know words can be hurtful, but either I was born with a thicker skin, or I was born in a time where none of this stuff really mattered. What mattered is how you treat people.
And some of the stuff that people said,
not what you said to people. Yeah,
didn't really mean. Well, some people meant it that way, but didn't really mean what was being said.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we say, "Hey, this show, another one in the can," doesn't mean that it's bad, and in the can means that it's done, I guess.
Well, another one in the can is because of film. When when the film is done, exposed, it's in the film canister, the film can. That's where another one in the can comes. So, speaking of, it's that time again, and yeah. Now kids are wanting to put warnings on the Muppet shows. That's just nuts. And remember, and I'll end with this. Do you remember there was a time, and this I barely learned about. This was in the 90s, I think, when Cookie Monster went vegan.
Cookie Monster went vegan
for a short time. Cookie Monster, because of cookies were fat kids,
eggs,
whether it was bullying, whether it was unhealthy, for whatever reason, Cookie Monster was no longer Cookie Monster. For a while there on Sesame Street, he was promoting vegetables.
Oh.
Nothing could be more sacrilegious than Cookie Monster, than anybody, for that matter, promoting
celery.
Vegetables. It was horrible. But anyways, I'll end with that. Folks, have a wonderful week, and I will see you all. We will see you all next Saturday for another episode of Retro Show with guys in their 50s and 60s talking about the 70s and 80s, where next week I'm pulling this up and trying to elongate my...
So can I say another show in the can?
Another show in the can. And here we go. Next week will be 80s, 70s, and 80s fashion fads.
Oh, boy.
So we'll talk about different fashion things. One popped off the top of my head. You know, things like Sergio Valente jeans, and things like bell bottoms, things like half cut, basically baseball shirts were normal to wear for everybody, with the hat with the different colored sleeves, and they went past the elbow but above the wrist.
That type, yeah.
That type. They were not short sleeve, they were not long sleeve. Something in between. I don't know who thought it up. I don't know why they thought it up, but it caught on. Things like that, folks.
Episode.
Fads of the 70s and 80s. See you next week. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
See y'all.
And enjoy us here. Come back at 10 o'clock next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.